right, welcome to another episode of Chrissy Chaos. Today, my guest, originally from Louisiana, we have questions, moved to Chicago, fresh after college, became great stand-up, got passed at the comedy clubs in Chicago, worked as one of the best cashiers in Trader Joe's history. He transferred, left Trader Joe's, and then worked there until he could afford full-time working in comedy. Wound up opening up, doing all this type of stuff by himself, but then opening up for Trevor Noah in arenas all over the world. He looks like a guy that I could overpower, but while I'm sitting next to him, definitely has a body built for jiu-jitsu, so I'm not even going to attempt it. It's the one, the only, Josh Johnson, folks.
Hey, how you doing?
Was all of that accurate?
Almost accurate.
What did we miss?
Most of the cashiers at Trader Joe's are too nice to say that they're the best. So if you just say you're the best, you're automatically the best.
Right.
I don't actually know if I was the best.
I've heard in the streets of Chicago that you're just the best.
I tried really hard.
Do you shop at Trader Joe's now that you don't work there anymore? Do you still use their services?
Still almost exclusively, yeah.
It's kind of like if you're not shopping at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, like you're made to feel like, what are you doing? You're not being healthy. You're not really contributing to American society the way we need you to.
Sure. This is what happens. Anytime you work at a place, like I had a friend who worked at like a chicken spot in town when I was really young, and it was like we're all 16. It's his first job and stuff, and it was so nasty that he doesn't eat chicken anymore. So the Trader Joe's experience I had was so good that both to support and to keep like eating the stuff I really fell in love with while I worked there and to save money, I go there.
So Trader Joe's clean as fuck.
It was my two stores that I worked at were super clean, were great people, like honestly, really interesting people, like with all these different backgrounds. It's crazy how good a work environment can be when you don't drug test. Like you're like most workplaces are like one no drug test away from being dope.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so you're saying, so you're the advocate, because I agree with this, where it's like, just let people be who they are.
We're putting up grapes. So like, and don't get me wrong, if your drug use is stopping you from putting the grapes up, like if it's something as simple as stacking apples, and your cocaine use is making the apples roll down every time, then yes, you cannot do cocaine here.
Right.
But if somebody is out here operating at like warp speed and they're on a little cocaine, then like, and I mean, look, the only thing I knew of was weed, but weed just made the workplace better.
That's the thing. If you're going to make it a company policy, a broad company policy to drug test and do that, then you're really taking away a lot of aspects of people personalities and a lot of good potential workers. Like if you're fun on fentanyl and you're doing that and you're making everybody at Trader Joe's feel better, from the employee to the actual customers, then let him do fentanyl. Just like I feel the same way with sports. I love sports. If the player's better on steroids, let them do the steroids.
Yeah, if you are better on Fenty, which is what I'm calling it now, you're better on Fenty,
yes,
at anything that you do, then like, you know what I mean? Now, 99% of the population, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you in like one try. Just really the amount that goes into a like fingernail will destroy your life. But if you're one of the millionth type percentile and you are better on Fenty, who am I to stop you?
Now here's the thing, because you put out an album called Elusive, right? 2021, and it is an album that I don't think any of our peers have done anything like this. It's comedy and music, okay? It first of all, it starts with him kind of welcoming you to the listening experience, and you asked that you listen to it all the way through, which I did. I obeyed your command. And I was like, wow, because a lot of people with comedy albums, it's just the tracks. There's nothing really different about it. It's just you at the comedy club or the theater or whatever. But I always said, like Adam Sandler back in the day had comedy albums that were all like mini sketches. And I was so invested because I'm like, what's this guy going to say next? And that's where with stand-up, so they're like, all right, it's just the next track and the next track. And I get it. Even my own stand-up album, I'm like, who is listening to that? Why would you listen? It's so boring. And so, but yours was comedy, and then here's the distinction. it's not, and I got no beef with anybody who does it this way, but it's not musical comedy. That wasn't what it is. It was literal just music. Like Donald Glover, who can do comedy and music. And when I was listening to that, I was like, was he able to do this and make this sober, or was he on drugs or some kind of substance? Because it was so dope that I was like, I don't know if this can just naturally happen, or is his brain that dope, or did he have a little Fetty?
I've never done a drug before because I'm a lot now.
Right.
Even when I see you at the cellar, we usually see each other in passing, like we're going from spot to spot. But like if we really sat down and talked for like an hour, I think you would walk away being like, oh,
right,
okay,
yeah,
I'm glad that you're not on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the idea came about because I had always wanted to get involved with music, and I had always really loved musicians. And I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like there's a disconnect in how our brains work as people, where when people go into music and people go into comedy, a lot of times they want what the other has. So
really?
So you'll see a lot of musicians try to like be funny in between their sets. Like everybody's adjusting and stuff, and he's trying to tell a story, and it's like nothing. It's the worst story you've heard, and then he plays the jam that you came to hear.
Yeah.
And so everyone lets it go.
Right.
But like a lot of comics want to be rock stars, want to like be seen as this like uber talented person that makes you feel things, whereas a lot of musicians want what comedians have, where people, like if you're out here like doing a hybrid of like hilarious philosophy and like deep thought, that's what someone wants people to see in their lyrics. But then people half the time aren't even listening to the lyrics. They're just like, I like this beat and I like the rhythm that you say things while this beat is happening.
Yeah. I felt like it was like a nice, when I was listening to the stand-up, I was like in the rhythm of it, in the mood, and then it just kind of seamlessly went to the music. And I kind of, it was one of those albums that I hadn't listened to before last night. And again, it's called Elusive, Josh Johnson. Go listen to it. It made me feel like I don't have any real talent. I was driving on the Staten Island Expressway being like, you don't have any actual talent, Chris.
No,
you just can tell dumb stories, and you embellish shit about your father. Way to go, you fucking asshole.
No, I think you're very talented. I think that.
Well, but you being able to display two very different skills and seamlessly make them one project, that's like real talent.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully people like it.
What have people said about it so far?
People like it a lot. I just think that I released it myself, and I think that if I had a label, or if I had somebody that was industry side really pushing it, I think it probably would have popped more initially when it came out. But there's been some slow growth ever since I released it. The beautiful thing about the internet and just like finding your people is that once you release it, that's a starting point, and a lot of industry still decides the success from the onset release on. Right. So like you'll still see movies and movie stars judge themselves and their projects off of opening weekend.
Which is silly.
Because especially if it's consistently, like, what would you really rather? Would you rather do 8 million opening weekend and then 2 million the next weekend and then 2 million the next week? Or would you rather do 6 million for like 7 weekends straight? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of what happens on the internet, is that once you find your people and they like you and they check out what you do or what you've made in the past, or they think they've heard everything, they haven't heard everything, then people start to rock with the older stuff. And that's what I've been getting now, is like, every once in a while, I'll get a few DMs that are like, hey, I just finished Elusive and I really enjoyed it. Or like, so far, I also try not to like delve too deeply into comments because it will destroy your soul. But I've only got a few like negative things where they were like, oh, I wish you would have done them separately. I wish you would have released a music
stupid comment.
And I was just kind of like, well, yeah, but you might not have checked out the other one if I didn't mix them.
Yeah, it's
what I mean?
dumb, and I've just made this decision in my life to not give any power to strangers at all anymore.
Sure.
So I don't look at the comments, or even if you say something to me on the street, if it's not, I don't care. Even if you say something really positive to me, I'm receptive to it, but I'm like, I'm not going to let this affect my ego one way or another, because I'm like, I don't know you. Only the people who I know, who I've developed a relationship with and a trust with, do I give them any power over the way I feel. I was not like that for a very long time, and I was all fucked up. Yeah. But I was like, but it is a dumb comment to say that about your work, because it's your art, whatever you want to do. But I think too, with the comedy and the music aspect of it, you know, you're kind of getting fans from different genres of stuff to come together for you. But do you feel like you're being recognized as one more than the other? Do you feel like, because I only ever knew you as a comedian, but are there people out there that know you as Josh Johnson, the musician?
I mean, I think that no, because I have not learned enough or felt confident enough yet to call myself like really a musician outside of doing comedy. It's like I would lean into producer, and I've aligned myself with a lot of really smart people that I admire. Like Mike Realm was an EP on the project, and so he was like, this is my first music thing, period. So he was sort of guiding me in my sounding board for like, is this song ready, or is this good, and everything. And then I think that it's one of those things where I can't really get mad at how anyone sees it, because the whole reason I did it and the whole reason I do everything that I do is to like try to be different. You know, there was like that old quote, you can either be in relation to like your art, you can either be first or be best. Right. And I don't really think I'm the best at anything, so I try to be first with everything that I do. And so that was my attempt at being like,
it was first.
I have not seen anything like this, and so let me try it. Yeah. And the nice thing about doing stuff like that is you either have never seen it before because it's actually a horrible idea, or because you're onto something. So, but the only way to find out is to put it out. Yeah.
How did you do the album cover? It's you sitting on a car that's sinking.
Yeah.
Can you pull that up? Elusive, Josh Johnson, Vito?
Yeah, it's basically this artist that was in Georgia, the country. Yeah. Not the state. Not the state. Not an Atlanta artist. This artist from Georgia I worked with over the pandemic on like a style and a motif and everything. And then we went off of pictures of me mixed with like what I was going for with the mood and the color and everything. And then I had the idea of just the syncing. Like, I don't know if you can see the license plate and everything, but it's just kind of how the whole year felt for me while I was putting the mixtape together.
A nice car just sinking.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And like I said, when I was listening to it at home, and my girl Jasmine, who we speak about a lot on the show, she came in. She was like, "What is this? I love this." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's one of my friends. They're going to be on the podcast tomorrow." And Jasmine was like, "Who is she?" And I was like, "No, that's a guy." And she was like, oh, "Okay, yeah, it's a guy." Yeah, and then I was, but it is your music is genderless, which is a positive thing.
There we go.
And your comedy. Well, it's good to have genderless comedy. I strive for genderless comedy.
Yeah, and shout out to Groovebox as well. Groovebox is on 4 tracks.
Okay.
And
was Groovebox singing? You were the one singing.
No, Groovebox is singing.
You're never singing.
No, I'm in the voicemail in company. I'm not singing in the thing.
So that voice is not you at all.
No.
Oh, I thought that was you the whole time.
No. That's why I texted you. I was like, "Yeah, Groovebox is great." Like,
hold on, wait a second. Hold on. It's just 1 second. It'll be. This is not. Hold on. That's Groovebox.
That's Groovebox.
Not you.
That's not me.
This changes everything.
Yeah.
For this whole time, I thought, because I love that. I like it. I was like, what a beautiful voice Josh Johnson has. And look at the immense talent to be able to do this and then also do comedy. I'm nothing. But now you've given me my power back.
I was trying to give you your power the whole time. I was like, that's why I was like, no, I think you're very talented. If anything, I've aligned myself with great musicians.
I've gotten it back. Yeah. I feel powerful once again.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. So you just produce the music then?
Yeah.
God. So, but you're that whole concept though, the words, the beat, that's all you.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that is insane talent.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Well, yeah, I co-wrote all of the songs except for Frankie's track. The Frankie Tsunami track is a remix of a song that he had already released, but I really loved and felt like it met the motif of what we were doing, and we didn't have a pure hip-hop song on the mixtape yet, so I asked him to write another verse, and so Frankie wrote another verse and then sent us,
So you're a producer and you're like the good Kanye.
Oh, maybe.
You're the good Kanye.
But like, I mean, honestly, which Kanye would you prefer? You know what I mean?
Kanye is fun. I got to be honest with you. I'm a huge Kanye fan, and I have been since day one.
Yeah.
And just like my love of Michael Jackson is not wavering, neither is Kanye. It's like, you know what, man? They're artists. They're going to do weird shit. That's what you pay for.
Yeah.
They're weird.
Well, that's my thing is that I worry that I will not have a Sistine Chapel like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy because I may never snap.
Right.
I may just be sitting here being like, oh, what would be a good decision?
Yeah.
Completely sober. Right. So like nothing's even affecting my brain.
Well, it's interesting to meet someone who's sober on, you're never got into drugs or alcohol. Because a lot of people will say, well, where's your vice then? What's the vice? Because we're all have vices. Do you know what your vice is? Do you think you have one?
I definitely have them, but they're more like internal things that I just don't necessarily. I think that people misplace vices. I think that a vice, you end up like putting it all on the alcohol, but the vice is the thing that makes you run to the alcohol.
Right.
So that's my thing, is that I have vices, but I just don't exercise them in the way of like drugs.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I have the same insecurities as someone who maybe you're really mean to someone and they immediately go grab a bottle, and that bottle is the soothing.
Right.
The vice is like not being able to compartmentalize that this person is just being mean to you in this moment. It's not true about you.
So like for me, I drink, but I've never been through a experience that's been like bad that I'm like, I gotta drink or I gotta do edibles or something. It's only ever been fun for me. I've only ever drank or done edibles when I'm like, I want to have a good time. I bite my fingernails and toenails when I'm going through a bad time. Yeah. So I don't think all drinking and that is necessarily attached to the vice. I think that society feels if you're sober on purpose, and it might be because like people want to feel better about themselves. That's actually probably what it is. People want to feel holier than thou. So they'll be like, if you're not drinking or smoking, then what must you be doing?
Yeah. I will say, though, I think that my definite issues are like an obsession around like, I think an obsession around my work and success are not the way that I feel them is not healthy. Do you know what I mean?
Like, do you feel inadequate? What do you feel?
Yeah. If I'm not having a successful week, as far as like breaking some sort of like record for myself or releasing something or whatever it is, or just doing like even if it's just I haven't written a great joke in 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, kind of a failure. And it's like,
but is it a great joke to you, or is it based off what the audience thinks?
No, it's a great joke to me.
Okay,
but
that's good though, that you're controlling the effort, not the outcome.
Yeah, it is and it isn't though, because then it's like, it's not so much about the audience's reaction, but then the audience's reaction can't even save it. Like I could have a great set and be like, it's just I didn't turn it into something. Right. I mean, like that's not healthy.
Do you and because you did a lot of work with Trevor Noah, worked for the Daily Show, opening up for him? Do you feel that it's just time for a goddamn American to be on the Daily Show? That's the question my fans wanted me to ask.
Yeah. I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea what's happening next. Like, I don't know. We had a bunch of great guest hosts and everything, and so I really enjoyed that.
And you're working for the show still. Yeah, obviously, I know there's a writer's strike now. Yeah, but if that wasn't happening, you're on. You can't even come to the pod.
Yeah.
It's interesting. No, I'm kidding, because it is funny. Like the neighborhood I'm from, my friends would be like, yeah, I stopped watching The Daily Show because it's like I'm not going to let somebody who ain't American tell me about what it's like to be American. And I'm just like, that's pretty, it's pretty dumb to think like that. It's just pretty dumb. I get it, but it's also like you're very narrow-minded.
Well, it's also like, it's a weird, what it feels like sometimes is the way that you can't tell anyone anything about themselves unless you're also doing the thing. So like if you don't have kids, you can't give parenting advice.
Right.
Which to a certain degree I get because you aren't there in it. But also if your kid is a terrorist, I think I noticed that. Like that. I mean, you don't have to be a chef to know shit doesn't go in a salad. Like
right. It's
a very wild thing to be like, if you're not a chef, don't tell me how to be a chef. And so I definitely, it's a very American sentiment as well to like, no, somebody from here can't tell us about it. It's like, but everyone from here is from somewhere else.
Exactly.
Like if we were in France and someone French made that sort of distinction, it would still be dumb, but it would at least be like, we're all French and we've all been French the whole time. America is full of people from everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the idea that someone that's not from here recently can't tell us about is wild.
Do you think your parents are proud of you?
Yes, but I think that I definitely think, I mean, my dad passed, so I'm pretty sure
when he heard the album.
When he heard the album in Hopefully Heaven, he was like, "This is dope."
Did he die when you were young?
No, he passed in like 2016.
Were you close to him? Was it very painful for you?
It was deeply painful, but I also am like, this is my thing, I guess, is that I look back on it all the time, and I definitely feel guilty about not being closer, but I'm very happy about the relationship that we did have.
That's
because I don't have anything that I've ever really said to him that I regretted. And I feel like that's a huge win to say I was a teenager at one point.
Right.
Or like we would, butt heads about stuff.
Right.
So I never had a thing where I'm like, man, I said that to my dad and now he's gone. And I feel like so many of my friends who've had people pass have that with someone.
Right.
Where they're like, even if it was like closer to when they passed, they were like, I was just like really shitty to them.
Yeah. Unfinished business.
Yeah. And I think I felt that for a long time because I felt like I could have been closer, but now I don't feel that as much because I look back on the time we had and I'm like, from the outside looking in for him, he just was like, oh, I have a kind, obedient son. What else can I ask for? Yeah, I mean, my son's like not in jail. Right,
not in jail. I wish he had a little more fun. I wish he was drinking, doing a little fetty.
Yeah,
but he's not.
I wish he would, lighten up. But yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice for him to bail him out of jail. It never happened. Mm-hmm. So is your mom proud of you?
Yeah. My mom is very proud. I think my mom was worried for a long time just because I went to college and then was like working at grocery stores trying to do comedy. So then even for my mom, she was like, what was the money for? Right. You're in so much debt.
Yeah.
And then, and then it all worked out. So it's like, now I've retired my mom, so she's really happy and like and able to enjoy her life and
she lives in New York. You moved her close to you?
No, she's in Georgia.
Oh.
But still
not the country.
No, not the country.
That'd be sick.
Thank goodness. That'd be so far though to fly. If
that artist was like, I'm gonna do this for you, but you have to give me your mother.
Yeah.
She's my property.
Your mom has to hang out with me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Nah, it's just me.
Only child. I'm an only child as well.
Really? Okay.
It's interesting. Here's the thing with being an only child, right? I feel like at times, it's a blessing. A lot of people, as soon as they hear we're only children, oh man, no brothers or sisters, whatever. And I get it. There's tough things to deal with that. And Vito's an only child. Yeah. And we're just three lonely men in here. We're ISIS. This is what happens. This is what a sleeper cell is. It's just three lonely men with no direction, and we're just eventually. This is what happens. But I feel like, and I can hear it from you, like you were paid attention to by your parents. Your parents kind of live for you. They put all their effort and energy, parental energy and wisdom into you. And I feel that happened with me too, even though my parents were divorced. Like my mom and dad, like every ounce they had, where I have 3 kids now. So it's like, it is tough. Like one of them is going to be a little bit more fucked up because I just didn't have the energy. And I feel bad.
I feel like that's relative though, because I think that the reason a lot of only children are so messed up is because as an only child, you do get all the attention, you get all the love, and you also get all of the trauma. So something that could have been an older brother thing where like, because you'll see it where people have like 3 siblings, right? Mm-hmm. And then the older brother just has a thing with the dad that no one else has. But it's because it was like he was the first boy. So then the dad was like, especially depending on the era, the dad's like, I just gotta make sure this one's not gay.
Yeah.
But then by the time you get to the baby boy is gay.
Yeah.
And that's somehow okay.
Yeah.
But then he's like, Dad, why were you punching me in the face
and
making me play baseball? Like, Brett is gay. He's like, yeah, but you know, your brother's an artist. It's like, it's like, and so then I think when you're an only child, because I'll tell you a thing, a little story real quick. Basically,
no, take your time. It's the podcast.
All right, but
we have to fill up time for HelloFresh.
So basically, when I was little, I went to the grocery store with my grandma, and I wasn't just the only child. I was the first grandbaby in like, I think, like decades. Like
really?
Yeah. So my aunt didn't have any kids when I was born. And I was my mom's first and only kid, and my grandma only had her 2 daughters. So then, like, there was no grandbaby for forever. You know, my mom grew up.
You had a small family.
That. Yeah, it was pretty small, but it gets bigger. The distant family ends up making it. So instead of it being a big family tree, it's like an oblong, like branch. But basically, my grandma took me to the grocery store with her. And this is like not a good grocery store. And I've even talked about this.
Not Trader Joe's.
No, it's not Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I think also, little tidbit, sidebar, I think that's also why I shop at Trader Joe's now, because it's affordable while feeling and being nice.
Right.
And so it's me trying to get away from, because this was one of those places where like, I've even talked about this in stand-up. Like legit, I'm putting out some stuff that's about this very soon. But basically... It was one of those places where like you would go there and the meat would be like $3, but there wouldn't be any label of what the meat was. And so you're
mystery.
Like, it's just like red or pink or like a little gray, and it's all $3.
Right.
And so and then there's a butcher there. That's how much of a grocery store it was. They had the in-house butcher like there, and you'd still be like, hey, what is this one? Because it just has a $3 sticker on it, and he would like squint. I'm like, you just did it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so then we went there, and there was this like scuffle that it started an aisle over. So I'm with my grandma, right? And there was like this fight that it started, and it was like a full on like you can hear stuff getting knocked over, and they're like swinging at each other, and you can hear like the packing sound of punches, and it's like, get out my face, nigga, like all this shit, right? Screaming. And then my grandma was like badass, but like sometimes like too much. So she's going down to turn down the aisle where we can hear the fight happening.
She's going towards the
going towards the fight. I'm like 6 years old, and I was still like, Grandma, do we need the? And she's like, I need the bread. I can't. Like she literally, she was like, they ain't fighting me. All right. So like, let me just get her. And I could, in my mind, I could even see her do it of like dodging a punch to grab the bread and back away. You know. Anyway, the other thing that had happened was the night before, it was a very special night because somehow every adult in the house went to bed without sending me to bed. Like they just forgot. I guess each one of them thought the other one told me to go wash up and everything. So they all went to bed at different times, but no one made me go to bed.
What?
So
How old were you?
I was like 6.
Holy shit.
And this is just one of those days that slipped through the cracks, man.
You're awake. Everybody else is asleep. You are in the house alone, unsupervised.
I'm in the house. And I knew that like if I ever woke up in the middle of the night, I always just went back to, it never even occurred to me to like go have free reign of the house at 6. I would have been whooped. You know what I mean? So anyway, no one sent me to bed. So in my mind, legal loophole, right?
Sure.
So now it's me with control of the remote. And we had cable that month. And cable was one of those things where it's like my mom wanted to give me what other kids had, but she knew she couldn't like afford it all the time.
Right.
So like even the joke I said on stage was like, all right, look, you're gonna see the beginning of the season of Friends.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to find out what happens with Ross and Rachel from word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because we would have it for 3 months and not have it for 6.
Jeez.
And so
this
then,
is before they invented Sling TV.
This episode sponsored by BlueChew. That's right. Let's talk about sex, baby. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in the bed. Listen up. I'm talking about BlueChew.com. I want you rock hard for summer, rock hard for fall, rock hard for winter. I want you rock hard 24/7, 365, and Blue Chew is going to get you there. It's a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets, chewy wooies. Chewable tablets. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You are going to have a rock hard penis to have sex with my face that looks like a vagina. All right, we got a great deal for you. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, baby. Here is the discount and the promo code. Listen up, write it down, do it. Go to BlueChew.com, put in that promo code CHAOS to get your first month free, a free month of boners. All you got to do is pay the $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code CHAOS, first month free. Just pay the $5 shipping. Blue Chew, thank you for sponsoring this podcast and my erection. Prize Picks is the go-to. It is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So it's a different take on it all. You know, like they're saying right there, you just got to get more than or less than. It's a better way to do it. I personally like it. Prize Picks I've done it a couple times and it is more fun. It's just fun because, again, you don't have to know every stat and everything that's going on with every player. It's just they make it a lot simpler for you. And they got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the number one pick in the daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, love tacos. Look at my face. Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. I like that. Listen, Prize Picks, okay, like I said, it's something that like my mom can do it because she's just like more or less than the points. And you have these 2 to 6 players and boom, that's it. You can win money and win it quick. Go to prizepicks.com/chaos. Use code CHAOS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/chaos. Use code CHAOS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, baby. Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy.
Yeah, this is before any on-demand anything, right? So then I ended up watching Night of the Living Dead because it came on like one of the late it was one of the late programs on like 2 a.m. or whatever. And I'm watching it, and in my head I'm like, this is why they send me to bed. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is absolutely, because also when you're 6, you don't know what is real life and what is fully fantasy. Yeah. So in my mind, some of this stuff can happen. You know? Anyway, I go to bed traumatized. Wake up, my grandma takes me to the grocery store with her, and we're walking. We hear this like huge loud thud, and before this, all manner of "I'll shoot you in the face" has been said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we hear this loud thud and then silence, and so my grandma's still turning down that aisle, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm about to see a dead body. Like he said, I'm gonna kill you, and then I heard a loud thud and no movement.
Right.
And so what we realized later, because people were talking about it throughout the store and everything, the 2 dudes fighting were 2 dudes in wheelchairs. So that's why the scuffle was so messy, because they were getting knocked back and they had to roll back and punch and get knocked back. And then when they would turn the chair, be knocking stuff over on the aisle and stuff.
Yeah.
And so basically what we heard with that thud was a finishing move of the other guy, because basically instead of punching, when they rolled back to each other, he just grabbed that dude by the collar and threw him out his wheelchair.
Then you're done.
And so then this dude on the ground, right? And then the other guys rolled off away from the scene of the crime. When we turned, though, there's just rice and bread all over the floor. And this dude from the wheelchair is crawling to me like this with no legs.
Right.
And so I scream. I'm like, zombie! Like screaming it so loud in the middle of the, it's like, zombie! I'm screaming in this man's face, zombie! And my grandma grabs me and pulls me down the other aisle, and she's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is it? That is an amputee. All right, you need to show some compassion. And I told her, she like whooped my ass too. I told her, I was like, Grandma, I don't know what an amputee is, but that nigga's a zombie.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
Like in my mind, my grandma just not hip to what zombies do and who they are. I just had research the night before.
Right.
Yeah.
Shit, dude. I mean, but that's also just growing up in Louisiana.
This is growing up in Louisiana. It's also growing up in like, it just was not the best neighborhood as well. So it's like you end up, a lot of stuff ends up seeming normal to you for a long time until you talk to someone who didn't go through it. I happen to know a lot of my stuff wasn't normal immediately because I ended up going to like a private school. So I was around white kids with money.
Right.
So then I would say something. They'd be like, what happened? So are they in jail? Like what happened? I'm like, nah.
They're just
hanging out.
They're just belly crawling around the supermarket.
Yeah, just crawling around the supermarket.
So wait, so how'd you wind up in the private school? That's being an only child.
Yeah,
helps.
Being an only child. My grandma, my dad, my mom, and sometimes even my aunt. Obviously, like my grandpa too, with my grandma. But that's like 5 people pooling their money together for your education.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like then I ended up getting scholarships to stay in those private schools. But initially, like being in a private elementary school was everyone like pulling.
They were like,
their
Josh
money
is going to get us all in this neighborhood, and then you got to Trader Joe's, and you were like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And your parents were like,
we're like, okay.
What?
Wow.
Your grandma's like, you think the incident in the supermarket scarred him? What, the wheelchair thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where you're like, man, maybe I should. Like, I think that people feel that with their kids now. There are people putting so much into their kids' education or into their kids, like a sport that the kid is good at. Maybe they'll go to the Olympics or whatever. And then the kid ends up picking comedy or working at a grocery store. And you're like, maybe I should have put it all on crypto that year. That probably, if we're talking about like it worked out for my mom.
Right.
My mom's doing very well. I think that obviously if my dad hadn't passed, he would also be.
Yeah. They were together. They never got divorced or anything.
No, they did get divorced.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it just happens. I'm divorced too, my family.
But the thing is, the people who invented it didn't live long.
Who invented marriage didn't live long. Yeah.
Yeah. The people who invented marriage, it was like, look, if you got married, let's say there's no internet.
Okay.
And we're
in North Korea right now.
There's not great travel, so you get by horse. All
okay.
Right? So you're not going that far either.
Right. And
then you end up getting married. You're only going to live to 32.
Best case scenario.
You got married at like 23. I think you can make it work that long.
9 years.
Yeah.
About the time. So you think now we're kind of have this kind of archaic principle that we're trying to get into modern times.
They've already said that if they keep making the advances that they're making, especially like with how good AI is getting with surgery and stuff like that, that like even if we're being dragged along, they're talking about a lot of people crossing over 100 now. Like a ton of people. So now people getting married, even what seems like late, even if you get married at like 45, you're going to live to be 100?
It's 55 years, baby.
Yeah.
So are you against marriage then if you found the right woman, person?
No, I'm not against marriage. I just think that like in order for it, it's such a sticky thing. In order for it to mean anything, it does mean that maybe you do sign up to be a bit miserable.
Right.
Like it, because then whenever you go to someone's third wedding, you are kind of like, so we're just having a party, right?
Right,
like I don't need to get you a good gift. Because like, you know what I mean?
It's like, what's the point? For me, to even get remarried again is insane. It's like, it's one thing, it's your partner for life. It didn't work out. Then how can you do this again? Like, I never understood that. I'm not saying you can't be in a relationship again for another 20, 30 years, but to get remarried again?
Yeah.
It's weird to me. It just seems like you're obsessed with the idea. It's like you're romanticizing what you saw in the movies. Or TV shows, you know?
And like, I'll even say this. The thing, I was having this conversation with my friends as well before I came here. The thing that makes relationships so hard to me now is that it used to be staying alive and maintaining a relationship were the two hardest things a person had to do. Right. So it was like, keep my spouse happy, don't get syphilis.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now it's like all of life across the board, as an American, as someone who's like at least living like middle class, right? All of life is so convenient and so easy. People's lives aren't easy, but like every aspect of life is easy, to the point where now relationships are just as hard as they've ever been. But now they're so much harder than the next hardest thing for you to do, that you're like, why would I put up with this? And so then everyone has, why would I put up with this? Everyone has like, and then you get it from all sides. You get the people who are like, girl, you're better than him, dump him, you're a queen.
Right.
And then you get the people who are like, bro, don't change for anybody. It's like all of that stuff compounding on top of how hard it is for two people, even on an island, to be together in general, has made it like nearly impossible.
And then, you know, I think too, that's great points. And then I think with just technology now, like you might get into an argument with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and then just like Google, like, how do I deal with spouse doing this? And then your entire algorithm and everything on that phone, without you even knowing it until now, I think people are starting to catch on, is towards how people deal with that. And you'll see all these memes and stuff coming up with trying to make you think, am I really happy with this person? Trying to give you alternate lives.
Yeah.
And you start to be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I will say, like, having like children now, you know, I got kids, you know, me and my girl, we went through times where it wasn't good and now it is good, and together. I do think there is something that's just like intuition. Like, it's intuitively, I feel like this person, I am safe with this person. There's a safety that I get with her, even though even like we're in the middle of a fight or whatever, or you know, I'm like, yeah, but this person is very likely to be by my side in the future and to stick with me because we've stuck through so much, that sometimes when I'm thinking about that, you know, what you mentioned, like the kind of like, what if, you know, or I don't have to deal with this. I think about that, and I still do. There's times when I go back and forth, but more now I'm like, well, how much stronger, because I'm dealing with this, how much stronger am I getting as a person? But then I think, well, wouldn't life, there's so many people that we have access to now. You used to only know the people in your village. Now it's like, I might have 100 soulmates. Why not try to meet them all?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about, even in the example before of like, you could make, you know, a 9-year marriage work back in the day, because it's like, you're not going to get that far out of your general area where you live. And I think that now we have the illusion of choice, where it's like, now there's just this like burden of reminding yourself that someone's Instagram isn't real. So even if someone from their Instagram DMs you and is like, oh, I love you, I want to meet you and let's hang out, I think we'd be great together, whatever, that's still a person on the other end that might be crazy if they're real, if they're not a bot. But like, I think that there's just something to be said for the fact that like your ability to make things work is your practice at making things work.
Right.
So the other reason that so many people are like trash in relationships is because for every one of them up until then, they were like, I don't need to deal with this. But what if you did, outside of like, you know, some physical abuse or something, what if you did deal with a difficult person? Or what if you did deal with, even for a time, even if it was just for the challenge of problem solving?
Right.
Because even in a healthy relationship, you're going to end up having a fight where the other person is completely sure that they're right, and you're going to be completely sure you're right, and it's going to be an impasse. So how do you get past an impasse You know what I mean?
That's like the game of it all. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, like when you said like, you know, like even like traveling, like this whole idea of like traveling and seeing new things, and like not only are we living longer, but we're experiencing more. I'm reading this book, The British Are Coming, about the Revolutionary War, and King George III, like the sitting king of England, the highest, and when England was the number one superpower, he never in his life left England. He never went to Ireland. He never went to Wales. He never went to Scotland. He never came to the colonies. And that was pretty common back then. Like if you were born in that country, other than if you're fighting in a war and you're going to die there, you never, ever, ever saw any. The most you'd see is your country, and England, a smaller country. It's like, so it's like you're probably at that point. And also marriage back then was about land, and like poor people weren't really getting married. It was the wealthy to like lock in their land. It was business deals. Where now when you're like, oh, this whole idea of like love and marriage, that's a thing literally like Hallmark created that. Whoever created Hallmark, I forgot, like whatever the first one was, created that in like the early 1900s to like get married for love. It was all about like, you're going to marry my, the marriages were betrothed. I was betrothed to you when I'm 3 years old. It's like, we have no choices. This is what life is. And then love got involved. And now it's like this whole thing that, and I think when you start talking like this, especially, mostly women will be like, well, fuck you. You're just trying to get away from the idea of marriage. It's like, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm very committed to my girlfriend and the idea of being my children's father and in their life. But this whole idea of marriage, looking around, I'm like, all I've ever seen it is causing problems. The actual, because it's like a legal bounding thing. It's like now you've gotten the law involved with our thing that the law wasn't supposed to be involved in. We had Dr. Drew on in here, and he was saying like, no, that I'm wrong, that it's more than just a piece of paper and it's a contract with society. But I guess I haven't really processed if I agree with that or not. But I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm a child of divorce. And what I saw was two people better off divorced than married, and me as their child saw two people who loved each other, who weren't right for each other romantically, but were right as parents.
Yeah.
So it's like people just want to be like, I got to stay for my kids. It's like, I don't think so.
I mean, I'd be interested in how he phrased it, because even if it's a contract with society, the fact that it is so easily broken is not the security. Like I had this conversation with lots of women who I'm like, why do you want? Because they would be children of divorce and they'd still want to get married. And I was like, why do you want to get married? And they'd say, there's just some security in it, and and I'm like, there's no security.
No.
People are just as likely to leave as before you've made it a little bit more difficult. All you've really done is put a chair in the way of the door. Right. There's no like, I can't leave now, because the can't leave was the social pressure. But now that it's kind of a double-edged sword, because now that we've done away with shame in so many ways in our society, you've also done away with the things that stop people from doing things because of the shame it would bring. Yeah,
it's like morality is down. Morality in society feels down.
It's also just that you've changed the parameters around what morality is. So I would agree that back in the day, the people who were like, you are a bad person if you get divorced, were insane. It's like there were people like cheating a bunch, or people like whooping their wives. Like there was a lot of stuff happening, right? So divorces made sense. And then when it got bad enough, people really did get divorced because it broke the threshold socially of like the backlash I'll get. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And so my thing is by changing that, it's fine if you want to change that, but then you will lose the social pressure to stick together.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So you lose the stigma, but you also lose the pressure. And I think that the stigma was bad. I'm saying that. I just think that you can't have one without the other.
Right.
The only thing keeping our great-grandparents and grandparents together was the social pressure, stigmatization of divorce.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So since we don't have that, it's not the security that a lot of people think it is.
Right.
I
feel like this is good first date talk.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
This is good. This. Do you get a lot of second dates?
I used to, yeah. You're
a good-looking guy.
I've been with my girlfriend for like 6 years now.
I thought you were single.
No.
I thought you were presenting to me as just I'm single and this is what I fucking believe.
No.
So your girlfriend is earmuffing this conversation right now.
But like I think. Oh, you remind me of something that I wanted to bring up before we finish about how the king never left England. I do feel like there's a lot of people like that now, and I think that it's why when you travel, there's just something about traveling where you end up getting, sometimes without even having conversation, you end up getting so much perspective on how people think. Not even about how French people or South African people think, about how just individuals will think, right? And I think it's funny because it was just recently 4th of July, and 4th of July is a very conflicting holiday for black people and for dogs.
Right.
It's like black people and dogs we don't know, because it's like, okay, there's a barbecue, but also the rest of this is like, because first of all, dogs don't know what's going on. They think it's war.
Yeah.
And then with black people, it's like, I've been talking about this for a while, how like when you read the Declaration of Independence and you also know what was happening around it,
sure,
it feels the way it must feel when somebody lies on their dating bio.
Right.
Because it's all these, like, you're talking all that good shit about freedom and like we're all equal and all this stuff, like, and slavery's about to start. You know what I mean? Like slavery just started cooking, right?
Yeah.
And it just feels like, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious. And like, it's just the same vibes where you're like, but you're lying. And then the idea that we celebrate the thing, because so many black people fought in the revolutionary, like,
big time.
It's not really taught, but the idea that everyone was like, we're free. And then somebody was like, what do you mean we?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a wild concept to me. Like,
let me ask you this, because I was still more late to the game, but not as late as others, because I love history and was thinking like this, like in college, because I like literally was like seek out history, but a lot of people didn't. You as a black person, have you always felt this way? Because now white people know this, like, oh shit, July 4th is problematic, and like everything you just said, it's like now it's like gotten into like the average white person who's not seeing out history. It's like they start to understand that. But you as a black person or like a kid, were you thinking that like in like 6th grade, being like, wait a minute, this is bullshit?
Yeah, I thought about it starting in 8th grade, because that's when I got taught. Because this is the misconception that you'll probably have if you grew up in Florida, is that on July 4th, everybody was free.
Right.
Like that, because you people, sing national anthem and we have readings of the Declaration of Independence, stuff like that. And it's like, because without the context of what was really happening around that time, and without the context that the people writing and signing it were like slave owners, you don't really notice or understand how they only meant them.
Right.
And I think that, look, I can still celebrate 4th of July in its essence as the idea of like me not being British.
Right.
Yeah, Yeah. But it's just the full gung-ho-ness of it. That's why I'm like, the barbecue is nice, but
yeah, you're not going to drape yourself in an American flag. You can't do it. You can't light firecrackers out of your ass.
Which also, I really do get. This isn't a condemnation of anybody. I get why white people love it so much, because it's like, that was y'all's finish line.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Our finish line wouldn't come for a little while, and we already celebrated June. I think that's the other problem, right? Because Juneteenth is before July 4th.
Yeah.
Not only have a lot of black people already cooked, but it's weird to do it. It would almost be different if it was Augusteenth.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, all right, you get yours, I'm about to get mine. But then you have yours first, and then the one that isn't yours is after.
Well, I know, and it sucks because like historians, you could just lie. You can just lie and say it was in August. You don't have to say it was June 9th. That's a good point. Like anything with history is like up to the interpreter. It's like, the fact that, Napoleon existed or didn't exist is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. No, he's not here now. Juneteenth, 1865 happened. So it's like, you could have just said it was August and people will be like, slowly be like, yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. That's, To your point though, that's the whole thing, is that they did lie. And it was, it was like, it took forever for them to be like, guys, y'all know you're free, right? Which is also
crazy.
The wildest concept to me of like, it would be like going to the grocery store and then when you get ready to leave, they're like, why are you paying?
Right.
This stuff is free.
Free, yeah.
And you're just sitting there with like $300 in your hands,
right.
where you're like,
right.
I've been paying my whole life.
Right.
It's like, no, it's free.
Right.
You didn't know?
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you later.
Yeah. I think that it's good that it's being, from a history fan, like talked about and educated on now to know stuff. But I think that, like you and I, we only grew up in this time.
Yeah.
So even with history, like we can both educate ourselves on it, but it's like neither one of us was around back then. So we don't really know. We know how we feel today. And I think today, for sure, I'm not even speaking on other races, just as part of the white race, the best race. Imagine that's the clip. No, the one.
You just panned to me, and it's the opposite of the Kanye Mike Myers thing. It's just like, I'm like,
yeah, that should actually be the opening clip. I go, the white race, the best, and then pick a shot of Josh just listening to me.
If anything, just looking horrified. Like all my black friends know I'm doing the podcast, and then they look at me.
What? But I think that again, just speaking solely from the white point of view, for 100%, I know that like white people, myself included, are being the most educated about the past now. So that has to be good signs for the future, because it was just like me 40 years ago, there was no education about it at all. You just had to be the guy that sought out history to even know it, and that was few and far between. Where now it's like my daughter will be taught about more, like what you mentioned about July 4th will be mentioned to her in second grade. So it's like moving the right direction. So sometimes when I hear people, shit on America now, I get that every society is imperfect and we got a lot of fucking problems. But it's like, it is moving in the right direction. I think that's undeniable.
And it's also like I get exhausted with people, because all of my stuff is like in my comedy and then quietly in my life. I get exhausted with people who trash America up and down. Like, they also haven't traveled. That's the craziest thing. The people who like love America, there are people who love America like you love your dick, where you're like, I've never seen another one, but I think mine's the best.
Right.
Like that is their thinking. And then there are people who trash America who also haven't traveled. So they don't know that when you go to some of these other countries, the other countries' immigration policy is worse than ours. Right. So then there's countries you go to and they will just hold you in detention for 5 years. Yeah. They don't care.
That's just how it is.
And like it's why, and it'll be some of the progressive countries too. So then you'll go somewhere, you overstay your visa, they send you back, maybe you try to get back in, you lie on some paper, whatever. You go to a detention center, you're there for a while. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they don't have this whole thing of the guilt, because America's a melting pot. There are different levels of like culpability and guilt that every race and ethnicity group throughout history has had to deal with. Right. At any point, one group was terrible to another group, especially if they were neighbors. Right. And they were both poor. Right. And so other countries don't have that. Like I said before with the earlier thing of like, if we're all French and the French decide to not feel bad about something, they will not feel bad about it. Right. Like you'll see there was, I'm getting the name wrong in my head now, but like the Changanese, or there was an island of people that essentially got annexed by Britain to make a military base. And then I gotta look this up because I'm just gonna sound like such an idiot, but just
welcome to my life.
They got annexed to make a military base on their island by the British. So the British displaced them, but then wouldn't make them British citizens. Okay. And the Brits either don't know about it or don't feel that bad about it, because to this day, it's like an unresolved issue. Whereas in America, when you have so many different people, especially so many different people that have been screwed over at some point, you have enough of a rallying cry of like, guys, this is wrong. Right. We should do something. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think it's fascinating, this book that I'm reading, because the British are coming, because it's like kind of talking about like how America even got started, like the colonies. We were really like Britons, like the people who lived in the colonies they were the ones fighting in the French and Indian War. They were the ones, like, they were their soldiers. Like, they would send the waves of colonists in first. So then when we started getting out of line and being like, no taxation without representation, throwing the TV. It's because we were the ones that were in the war. We the ones that had post-traumatic stress. So then a whole nation of people got, birthed, and it's like, we're the warring clan. Like when we read about like the Mongol, Genghis Khan and the Mongolians, or like the ancient Romans, or the, Mohawks. It's like, that's what Americans are. We're the warring clan of the modern world. So it's like this stuff is going to happen. There's a lot of aggression here that's like, I feel like other societies have just like been through. They're so much more ancient than us that we went through. So
it's just so homogenous.
Yeah,
it's
dude,
like that's why Australia got rid of guns.
Yeah,
because every Australian was like, I could get shot.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my thing where I'm like, yeah, it's different here because there are people here who are like, no, I'm not gonna get shot.
Right.
And I like my gun.
Right.
So it's never gonna change for me.
I gotta get a gun, dude.
Do you not have a gun?
I don't have a fucking gun.
Do you live in New York?
Yeah, I live on Staten Island.
Oh, so
my neighbors have guns.
Is it easier to get a gun on Staten Island?
No, it's impossible to get a gun in the 5 boroughs, man. It's fucking impossible.
Oh.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a voicemail.
Okay, this episode brought to you by BetterHelp, online therapy, great service. Okay, if you've ever benefited from therapy, then I really encourage you to try BetterHelp. I've used it. It helped me a lot. You don't have to go to an office. You don't have to waste time. Because there's a lot of times, to be honest with you, where like when you're suffering from anxiety or depression or something like that, your anxiety or depression will make you make up an excuse to not go to therapy because you're like, oh, I don't want to go because I have this or I have that. You put up all this resistance. But when it's all done entirely online, you just tap the link and then boom, you're in the session. And before you know it, you're getting the therapy and you're getting the help that you need. Listen, when you have racing thoughts that won't go away, you have negative thought circles and you just can't find that emotional peace, BetterHelp is right for you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. They make it so easy. They match you up with a therapist that's best for you. Fill out a brief questionnaire and then they do the rest, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. They want to make this the best for you. Right now, you can get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/chaos. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/chaos. 10% off your first month. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp.
Hi, Chris. This is Connor Lawson. Right now, I'm looking at colleges. So what's the deal on that? Do you think it's worth it? Is it a complete waste of time and money? What do you think about that? Should I, weigh it? I don't know. My parents think I should go. What do you think?
College. Here's what I'll say about college. I think that you should go, or if you go, I don't think you need to pay top dollar to go to an institution like a Harvard or Yale or Columbia. I don't think that gets you in today's world any further ahead than if you went to a community college or a state college and paid less than half that, as long as you're getting a benefit of it and you're doing something you like. I think that's the only difference that I have is I don't think these big time schools matter as much as they used to. What do you think?
I think there's two like very key pieces of information missing in the question. It's like, one, what do you want to do? Because if this kid wants to be a doctor, please go to college. Like, like do not be a doctor that's self-taught on YouTube. Right. And then also, where can you get in, and how much scholarship money will they give you? Because the only way that I disagree with what you said is that I do think that within those networks of alumni in schools, they operate in a way that we're just not aware of. Like, I think if you went to an Ivy League school and you made enough of a web around yourself while you were there, I think it does pay dividends when you leave, just because you'll find even with writers sometimes, you'll find that like all these people like know each other from Harvard. And not a ton of writers, but like 9 writers will have all gone to Yale. Right. And you're like, what? I was working at Trader Joe's. Like, how did, and look, to be fair, we ended up in the same place. So I'm not saying you need it. I'm just saying like there is this like you'll even find with people who are able to manipulate people and scam people, that all of their seed money came from like Yale friends. So I guess if you're running a scam, go ahead and go to an Ivy League school. But the last thing is just it does suck because we're in this limbo now where a lot of employers require college, but they don't trust people who just graduated.
Right.
And and I don't know how to circumvent that. It's like they've literally made college useless because they themselves that require it don't want to hire new people to the workforce that are right out of college.
Right.
But they're also like, no, you need some or a lot of college.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think that because, I have a couple of people I know work in HR, and they're like, we'd rather now hire the person who's got experience and no college than the person coming out of college, because it's not that we have to teach them. We've always been around teaching them. We've always been, open to teach the youth. But the type of kid coming out of certain colleges now is a very difficult person to deal with, very sheltered life, complains about everything, doesn't understand like what real work is. And a lot of people are less and less want to take that on. So I think these colleges, if you're going to go to college, go to a school, like that's just a little bit more real world stuff. Like I would pick a school that has had a few shootings. You know what I mean? Get out there, a school you're on your toes a little bit. Get into the real world a little bit.
All right.
That's what I think. That's my advice.
A school that's crumbling. Yeah.
100%. Go to what was that movie Accepted? The South Harmon Institute of Technology. Shit. The shit sandwiches.
It's also a thing of like, if you, how do I put this? It's like, because so many colleges are for profit, they're inclined to hold retention. So a lot of colleges used to let you fail out, but now you'll find that, they said whatever, a quarter of the freshman class will graduate. That's actually because of money and because of their choice to drop out.
Right.
It's not because they're just failing across the board because college is they did a study and they found that college now, especially if you're a general studies major, college now is tantamount to our grandparents' high school.
Whoa.
That's what they were saying, that they've concluded based off of how easy it is to pass, what you cover. Because also high school used to be what we get out of college now. There used to be home ec, there used to be shop, there used to be like all of these different things that were life things.
Right.
How
do you feel about the affirmative action stuff that just went down a couple of weeks ago?
I think that people don't, especially growing up in the South, it's a trend I've noticed where you're never actually, because America is such a quilt and we're so intertwined, you're never like screwing over the people you think you're screwing over. Like if this was about getting black people and getting like, it's like, look, yes, but also poor whites, it's coming.
Right.
It's like if you're a poor white, this is rough now.
Yeah.
Because now I know that poor white people don't consider themselves in any diversity conversation, but there is a lot of diversity based on income and based off like background.
Sure.
So if we're losing that as well, and look, don't get me wrong, maybe I didn't read the decision, so maybe it's just race. But like if it's essentially doing away with any form of affirmative action in that way, that means a lot of like poor white kids aren't going to get scholarships.
Yeah, I saw something. I forgot who said it. Might have been like Thomas Sowell, who I know can be controversial to some, but I heard him say something about like affirmative action with it being like, if you take someone based off race or they have good grades, like they're really like, because listen, to get into an Ivy League school, you have to meet, you're not just going to get in because of a race. You have to meet a certain level, right?
Yeah.
But they were saying for affirmative action, if you get into that Ivy League school and you are amazing, you're an amazing student and you got in and the deciding factor was affirmative action, race, you might not excel at that Ivy League school because, yes, you were the best for who you were, but like everybody else around you might be all Asians and whites and whatever. It doesn't matter the race. They have a 99.9 average and they got in because of their grades and whatever, and they're excelling in the Ivy League. And you would have excelled at a school right outside of an Ivy League. You would have went on to become the best of the best, but instead you dropped out of an Ivy League because you were that much lower. He's like, that's not helping.
Yeah.
That is not helping non-whites.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I know there's more to it than that, but I always thought that was interesting.
I'll even pitch you this. This is my thing that's always bothered me about affirmative action, especially around growing up in Louisiana and being around white people who speak on affirmative action. There's an attitude that is just so prevalent that, like, let's say there are 10 positions and then 8 of the positions go to like white people or white dudes or whatever. And then the last 2 go to like a black guy and an Asian woman. And the white person who does not get the job now is looking at the black and then Asian. And it's like, there were also 8 white people who beat you out.
Right.
And that's the thing that always bothers me, where I'm like, why are you literally like zeroing in on someone who you feel like slipped through that means by your own logic, you want to slip through the cracks.
Sure.
And so it's just a weird thing that people ever got upset about, that also talk about working hard. Because that's the other thing you'll see, is that the people who hate affirmative action and the idea of it and what they think it is and who they think it helped are all about hard work. But then when you didn't get the thing, you're like, but what about all of the people who look like you or have your background that beat you out? Yeah.
I remember when I was a physical therapist, I got, you could get a scholarship for the Board of Ed to work for the New York City Board of Education. And that basically would pay for your graduate school, which was a lot of money. And all you do was work for the Board of Ed for 2 years, and then boom, you would get that scholarship, and then they would pay your schooling. You just worked for them for the Board of Ed. They paid you in full, but that's it. That's the Board of Ed scholarship. It was a great program. So I applied, whatever, got to the interview, gave the great interview. I remember I got there so early, professional suit, everything. I was like, whatever. And then I remember the guy in my class who did get it, Asian kid, late, shirt untucked, not the best student, was in school, like not giving it 100% ever. Anyway, he gets the scholarship and I didn't. And I remember in that moment, like my mom, I was on vacation with my girlfriend at the time, and she had gotten the letter to the house, and she didn't want to tell me till we got back on vacation. So we get home and she's like, honey, I just want to let you know, like you didn't get that scholarship. The letter came in the mail. Thank you, whatever. But for some reason, I don't know how she knew. Maybe it said like congratulations from the school who did get it. She was like, oh, this person got it. And I remember like being like so like angry. And then it was my mom, because my mom was very level-headed and very like for her age and where she comes from, like just very like, she's been progressive. She was progressive in the 70s, like one of those women. That's just like, she's always seen what people are seeing now. She's like, you have to understand, honey, he's Asian. The school that they're placed in, she's like, I looked it up, is an Asian community with Asian speaking children. It literally is the best fit for that person to go there despite anything else. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that is the best fit, even if his grades were a little less than yours. And forget about all this. This was, and this is what sucked me. She said, that was never your position to get. So go out and get another position and be like, he's going to be great there. You go be great somewhere else. And then I kind of just like let it all go, where sometimes when I see people hanging on and getting like so mad, like you said, like with how come that position's mine? It's like, bro, that position was never going to be yours. Like you're never really in a race with anybody. The race is only with yourself, and people use race or religion or whatever to like justify their failures. But it's like, dude, failing or not getting something is just a part of life. It's going to make you a better person if you allow it to.
And it always just bums me out where I'm like, you'd be so much better. Like if a person feels like a loser, right, and then they look at everyone who's not like them that's succeeding, it's like, no matter who you are, there are plenty of people like you that are succeeding right now. Right. So looking at anyone else, like even to a certain degree, it's like, yes, there's history and there's like, even zoning is weird in certain places. There's still some parts of America that are very segregated and stuff. But I've even had that with other black people where they'll be talking about something that they want or something that they were going for, and they'll bring up white people in this way where I'm like, look, if you can point to a white person right now, I'll be on your side. Right. But the ideal of white people out there doesn't meet stupid. It doesn't meet the same thing as what you're saying you wish you had. Right, yeah. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's interesting, but that's, I think like too, like, sometimes like when we get into like discussions with like race and this and that, I'm like, man, like it is kind of like simply to say like, can't we all just get along? But in a way,
the guy that said that got shot.
Exactly. So, that's what it said. Yeah, that guy got fucking popped.
God,
that's
damn.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
and that's why sometimes I feel like shooting people who say that, because it's much more deep than that. But I think just I don't fucking know. I got Puerto Rican kids. You know, one of my oldest daughters, you know, she's only speaking Spanish lately, so I got more shit to deal with. It's like I got a language barrier with my own fucking family. So go to Yale if you're black, Chinese. I don't give a fuck anymore, dude. Just my kid wants me to pay her in pesos. All right, Josh Johnson, everybody. Where can they see you?
Oh yeah, so I have a podcast.
That's okay.
It's called The Josh Johnson Show. It's actually a lot like this,
yes.
But I do it with my friend Logan Nielsen, and we tell each other stories about our lives. And, and it's like a living memoir.
Nice.
And then you can find me on the socials at Josh Johnson Comedy on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yep.
Where I post my stand-up and clips from my show and stuff. And yeah, come see me in New York. I always put up on joshjohnsоncomedy.com my tour dates. So yeah.
There it is, baby. Go see Josh Johnson.
Thanks for having me.
All right, baby. Trader Joe's for life.
All day.